GTR 38. I love it. I love it. It's like meant to be like Trey was 30 episode. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Monoxide Podcast. We are back for episode 38, and I am your host, Harris, AKA Monoxide, photographer, videographer, man of many automotive aspirations. And I'm here with my co-host. I got no spicy saying today.
All right, that's okay. Well, I'm Sean. If you didn't know, I drive a blue Durango Hellcat and a orange BMW 1M. Very special and very rare. Love them both. And this is the Monoxide Podcast, where we take you beyond the meat and introduce you to some of the people that make our community so great and a positive place.
All right, Harris, don't fuck up the intro. All right. No, so I clowned him last episode. I'm like, dude, you got to talk about the Hellcat and the 1M because, like, they really are special cars.
I don't know how I forgot last week. It just totally skipped my mind. It's not like I don't say it every time.
And then for a while, he gave up talking about the 1M because, like, nobody knew what it was or cared because they were like, oh, Hellcat,
It wasn't feeling very special to me anymore.
Oh,
I know.
That's weird.
I know, right?
That is strange.
I was getting a lot of praise for the Durango, and not a lot of people, like, I just felt like the 1M just was too obscure.
You got to put welds on the 1M. Anyways, we got to introduce the guest today. You are one of my oldest friends in the car community. We go way back since I got started. One of my favorite photos ever was of your GTR with my point-and-shoot Nikon in that little tunnel when the car was just black. I almost hit you with my Charger because my brakes were faded. You don't know about that. Now you do.
I don't remember.
That was sketchy. We were driving on 35W, and then you had to hit the brakes hard, and I'm like, I literally squealed. I almost hit you in the bumper. But so today we have Mo, AKA BoostedMPLS. Your shirt is one of my favorite shirts to wear. It's just good merch, dude. It doesn't even plug. I don't think you even sell merch much, but I love it because, like, it's a good logo. It's green. I love green shirts. That's my thing. So that's why I'm wearing this AMS shirt today. But nonetheless, we got you on this episode today because you're an influencer within our local car community. You're so involved. You do a lot of cool stuff. Really cool cars. Oh my God, I completely forgot about the RX7. Oh my God, it just came back to me. So we're gonna talk about that too.
We'll dive into that.
But tell us a little bit about how you got into the car scene, how you ended up being BoostedMPLS and all that.
Yeah, so really what got me into the car scene, I remember I was about 12 years old, and I saw a rolling shot. It was a raining rolling shot of a Volkswagen. It was a Mark III Golf. It was black, and I'll never forget it. I was always on VW Vortex, and I happened to come by. By the way, VW Vortex is one of the biggest forums back in the day, like forums overall. Anyways, see this picture, and then I just fall in love. My cousin, he was already into Volkswagens, and that's really what was my gateway drug, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so from 14, 12 years old, I was always working. My dad had a grocery store, typical Arab entrepreneurial on the resume. So I was always working, and senior year, I was able to finally save up and buy a salvage title 2000 and a half Volkswagen 1.8T GTI. And it was, from that point on, that's what really got me into cars. And at that time, the Volkswagen community was super strong. Like, I mean, yeah,
in Minnesota, right?
Yes.
You're still in Minnesota?
Yeah. So I had it my senior year, which was 2004. And then I just got rid of that car I sold that car to get the GTR. So yeah, maybe about 5 years ago, I sold that car. And very special car. Drove it into college, and then started a big turbo build, thinking that, a college student with a budget could afford that. Didn't work out, so then it sat at my parents' garage for a while. Finished school, and then met this lovely girl, and so I had, to instead of putting money into the vehicle, bought a ring, bought a house, all that grown-up stuff, and then so the day I moved out, and my mom calls me, and she's like, "You need to come get your car." And I was like, "Come on, come on." And so then, I brought the car and then got it back, finished it, because my wife was like, "Look," she was like, "I'm in full support of your hobbies. I'd rather you finish his build rather than it just sit in the garage. So I was like, say less. So ordered all the parts, got everything ready to go. Drove it after it was probably maybe 300 horsepower, and it was just too much for that car. Like, I mean, I just
It's a good bit of power back then too. What year was this? Like
this is a 2001, or the year that I did it.
Yeah.
It would have been 2014.
So not a ton of horsepower, but again, for like given the car and the era it's from, it's a lot.
I mean, any type of rain, like zero traction. I mean, I had a built-up differential, a Quaife differential, so it was spinning at both wheels in the front, and yeah. So realized that that car was probably outdated and just wasn't as fun as what I remembered it to be. And then so sold every single part off of that car.
That's right.
And parted it completely, and then donated the shell. And then that helped me get to the GTR.
So how long was the car sitting for again? Like
roughly, I mean, basically my college second half of my college career about.
Okay.
So about 3-4 years.
Yeah, just sitting doing nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember when you told me the shell story, and then I even asked you like, would you ever get like another one just for fun? You're like, fuck no.
Yeah, I would second. I think if I were to get back into a Golf, it'd probably be a Mark II. That's
what I want. I've mentioned it on
grails.
this podcast before. I want a Mark II Golf and VR6 swap it.
Yeah.
That's like in the dream list, because like I was in my first Mark II a few years ago with a cokehead. I'm not even kidding. he was blasted when we were driving.
Sketchy.
Like, ooh boy, driving through the dark, twisty roads. Like, it was sketchy. Looking back on it, I would not do that again. But I remember thinking, like, dude, this car is so light, so fun. He was just banging gears, not fast.
Yeah,
it's not fast at all.
No,
but
it sounds so good though.
It was so awesome. And yeah, there's the VR6s are so cool too. Like I've seen people take them up to like 550 wheel, and they sound incredible.
Yeah,
which you don't expect out of a Volkswagen. You know, man, when you look back at some of the motors through time, like the 2J or the RBs, like it just
the VR's up there for sure.
Yeah,
has to be for sure.
So the GTR, how did that happen? What made you switch from Euro to JDM, but not really JDM? You know how it goes.
Yeah, so I took a look at a lot of different cars, test drove a lot of different cars, and really just the best bang for the buck was the GTR.
Mm-hmm. And this was back in 2017?
This is about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2017. And so I started doing my research in 2016. And yeah, it just settled on the GTR. Just figured it was all around best bang for the buck. But you just, before you get into a GTR, you kind of got to know what's been done. Just like any other car, you got to know where the weak points are and just do your research and do your homework. And so decided on that. And then I was like, okay, let me just study the market, understand it. Did that for about a year in different Facebook groups and stuff like that. And the best way to get any kind of a deal is to be cash ready. And I've always had this mantra where if I can't afford to buy the car in cash, I can't afford the car.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was ready and just waiting to, because you gotta jump on a good deal. So deal popped up, and I flew to Knoxville, and
that's right. You tried to meet up with the previous owner when we went down to Tail.
That's right. Good memory. And so
there's a lot of stuff that happened on that trip.
Yeah, that was a fun trip. But so he gave me a test drive, and I was like, man, like it was so like scary fast in the passenger seat. And I was like, is this really like a smart decision that I'm making with my life right now? And so he told me a few things, and I test drove it, and it's different when you're on the driver's side for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, look, man, like if it ever gets squirrely or anything like that, just floor it. It'll line itself up and you'll go straight. And sure as hell, I mean, that's kind of knock on wood, you know what I mean? It's been a great car.
Yeah.
I've absolutely loved this thing. I could take it to car shows, track events, whatever, all in the same day.
And you got yours is in 09?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then what's your, you got a 17 plus front fascia on it now too, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I did the facelift. The 09s obviously had transmission issues back then.
Oh, we know.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so I had to make sure that, you know, the transmission was upgraded, full bolt-ons. I'd rather that be done than me having to do that myself. Car already had upgraded Zona Green turbos. So it was a good deal for what it was.
So upgraded transmission, is it Shep?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the process like that look like? So like when you decided to upgrade it, what did that look like?
No, so I bought it 1.5. So basically that just means that first gear is upgraded. So when you do launches and stuff like that, it's able to withstand 650 horsepower is kind of the max that a lot of stuff stays intact for it to continue to be reliable.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that was the common failure point for that transmission then?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So to answer your question, really the process is you take out your transmission, you ship it out to Shep, they do their magic, they ship it back, and then you get it installed into your car.
That's pretty sick. Okay, I always wondered like what that was. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I mean, I had some transmission issues on one of our trips. It wasn't on our trip. It was on
the year previous, I think, right?
It was the Rally of 10,000 Lakes.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and there was some weird issue that I had with my transmission, and I brought it to AJ at Eurocharged, and they literally took out the transmission, shipped it out, and then brought it back, and then installed it, and everything was refreshed, and it's been good, knock on wood, ever since. So,
weren't you running into the 700s power wise at that point too?
Yeah, so with the 85, I'm right around about 700 horsepower.
So then that probably contributed to making it a little bit, yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you have to do any more additional upgrades after that, or are you just chilling right now?
No, I'm good where power-wise where it's at.
So no issues, okay.
Yeah, it's the law of diminishing returns, right? I mean, I can drop another 40 grand to get another 300 horsepower.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So is it worth it? The reliability kind of goes down at that point. I'm good with where it's at. Yeah.
It comes in levels. We see this, every car has its different like ceilings. Like we had Rad on here a few episodes ago who talked about the Supra. He's like, oh, you could get a Supra, take it up to 700 horsepower for less than 20K.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, bet. And then it's like, well, if you want to go up into the tier above that, like for example, like GTRs, like right now you're at like 750. The next would be like about 1,000, then 1,200-ish to 1,400-ish. And then after that, it's like, all right, we're sending this bitch to the moon. So 2,000 plus.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
That's when you're talking about six-figure invoices.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Couldn't be me. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun in that car when we went down to Tail. I think a lot of the stories we're going to share today are from our Tail trip, because that was the trip where Sean's 1M shit the bed.
It didn't shit the bed. It lost the clutch.
Yeah.
The clutch, it ran its course.
Yeah, it ran its course, and we had to. Where did we leave it?
During the
not far
first leg of the trip. I know we made it to Bloomington, Illinois. I remember because it's the same name as the Bloomington here in Minnesota. It made it really easy for me to remember, so I could go pick it up.
Yeah,
and we parked it at a hospital, and I remember like worried, like, oh, like hopefully the hospital is not going to be like, who left their car here? And it's like, well, I feel like any hospital has patients come in and they probably just leave their cars there, overnight. So I was like, that's gotta be the safest place, because we even called BMW dealerships. We called a bunch of dealerships.
Yeah, nobody would let you leave your car.
On the way down there. They're like, can we just please leave our car in your dealer lot? Like, it would be really cool because it's a 1M. Like, you think they'd be like, oh, like sick, we get to look at a 1M over the weekend.
They don't care.
They didn't care. They didn't want it. And so you guys were way ahead of us, because I literally couldn't go over like a threshold of RPM.
I think it was like 3 or 4.
We were getting no, definitely.
Dude, we smelt your clutch when we all met up in the morning. We were
really?
Like, yeah. I think it was Joe or somebody was like, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" To go on an 1,800-mile road trip with
I fucked around and I found out.
Yeah, for sure.
And keep in mind, Joe is literally a BMW mechanic.
Yeah.
Like that's his thing. He's like, this is not a good idea. Yeah. So we left that car there, and then
we had a piggyback.
Yeah, so we rode with
everybody else. So luckily there were some empty spots in people's cars.
Yeah, so I think you rode with Who'd you ride with first?
Jeff.
Jeff for the majority of it. I rode with Tony for a lot of it. Then I rode with you on the Tail of the Dragon, and this was. I tell this story to people all the time. This is so hilarious because so for those of you that have not been on the Tail of the Dragon, it's basically one of the best roads in America, or at least for a car enthusiast. 311 turns in, 11 miles or 9 miles, something like that. I might be off on the numbers. It's in the 300s. It's single-ish digits. I don't care.
I think it's 318 turns, but who's counting?
Podcast over. No, I don't do the mathematicals well. But anyways, so I'm in your passenger seat and I'm watching the map because I'm calling out the turns. Like, okay, sweeping left, hard left, or whatever my.
No. Let me back up. So what happened was, Harris gets in my car, right? And so I'm driving pretty mild, and then Harris is like, he's like, yeah, like when I was with Kelly. His car, we were hitting X number of G's, and I was like, all right, like, so then I turned it up. So I turned it up, and Harris is calling. Turns out he's great passenger, and he's calling out the turns. We're moving at this point, and we get on. I forget what part it was, but there was a straight. And all of a sudden, there's a cop on a motorcycle. At this point in the Tail, there is zero cellular reception. So I think after it got reception, Reed and a couple other people had already warned us on the group that there was a cop ahead. But obviously, I didn't get that. And so as I rip it on this straight, I see the cop. And so he's on a motorcycle. Obviously, I was going above the speed limit, the posted speed limit. And so I pull up, right behind him, and turns out that, he pulls me over, and we had put stickers on our cars during this time. And somebody had put, tell your mom I said hi on the rear of my bumper. So out of respect for safety, he pulls me over, tells me to step out of the car. And I didn't feel threatened or anything like that, but I just figured for the safety. So step out, go in the back of the car, and says, tell your mom I said hi. So he's looking at my ID. He goes, actually, I will tell your mom tell my mom I said hi, because you guys have the same birthday. And I was like, oh, what are the odds? So I start working my small talk with him, and turns out he is a big Nissan enthusiast.
Oh, nice.
And so he's like, you need to cool it, but honestly, I pulled you over because I really just wanted to check out the car. And so we get to talking, and he has a 350Z. I think it was a Datsun. He had some classic, and so we get to talking about that, and so I asked him, I was like, what's the fastest you've gotten somebody on this turn? And he had gotten a Corvette, I think, going over 100 at that point.
And you were doing.
Did you break that record?
No, I wasn't trying to break no records. I was just trying to get the G-force to go up for Harris over here, Mr.
Yeah. You're trying to throw him around.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. And so, I don't know what's going to happen at this point. And cause he got me going 63 and a 30. And so in the States, that's that's basically a reckless driving ticket. And so, for my full-time job, for my, the way I support myself and my family, a lot of it is driving. So I have to have a good driving record. And so I was a little nervous at this point. So we get to talking, and mind you, at this point, I was shooting a video so that I could post on my YouTube channel, and it had the GoPro and the mic on the back. And so it recorded the whole conversation. And yeah, dude turned out to be super, super nice. The best part was he did give me a ticket, but he gave me a county citation. And what that means is that whatever money that is spent on those citations goes back to that area. So I'm more than willing to donate if we can come back there again, right? So he writes me a ticket, and so I asked him, is this going to go on my record, or what kind of ticket is this? And he's like, nope. He's like, for whatever reason, North Carolina and Minnesota do not communicate, and so this ticket will never get reported to Minnesota. You just have to pay the citation. I was like, say less. So then I get back home, and back up. So he writes me a citation. On the citation, it says $35 was the fee. And so the guy obviously did me a favor and didn't put a hamper to the trip. I still have that citation and all the paperwork and waiting for your picture that you printed off for me so nicely from that trip.
Yeah, we can go to my house, pick it up right after this.
No. But like I want to put all that in a frame because that was a very special time.
Dude, and by the way, he immediately got you out of the car. He's like, can you step out of the vehicle? I'm sitting here as a passenger like, oh shit, we got to get Mo out of jail. Because that, like anywhere else, like that's a big freaking, like 33 over is quite a bit, especially considering it was, whatever, a 30 or whatever there.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here shitting bricks.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, to drive Mo's GTR back to Minnesota. Like, I'm just like thinking of every possible circumstance. I'm like, am I about to witness a movement over this guy? Like, just everything went through my head. But yeah, that was such a fun trip, dude. The officer was super chill. The video was, did you post that video?
I did, yeah.
I can't remember if I watched it.
Yeah, I did.
But I remember thinking like, oh my God, he is recording this whole time. But the best part was when he pulled you over, he was walking through the car. I shit you not. It felt like a Super Troopers movie. Like the guy was like,
sure.
like I could tell he was like trying to conceal like smirking or laughing. Like he had one of these. He did like a slow, like a nod.
Put the B-roll of that video right here because it's hilarious.
Did you get that part on video too?
Oh yeah, he looked like it because I had a GoPro in the front. Yeah. I had a GoPro in the back, and I think that was it. But the front cam where it got the whole him shaking his head and it was classic. It looked like he was really gonna just go in on me, honestly.
That's what I was worried about. I was like, this guy's about to fucking eat your breakfast, dude. Like,
yes, sir.
But yeah, that trip was hilarious too because the bird was hilarious. So, Sean, do you remember this from the trip at all or not really?
Was it Reed? Did he kill another bird?
No, that was on our rally. He killed a bird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he killed a little Oriole, beautiful little Oriole. Rest in peace. It was stuck in his radiator, or his intercooler, whatever. So we are leaving the hotel in the morning. It's like 7 a.m. We're getting ready to go. I think this is before tail. I think this is before you got pulled over. But anyways,
or was it after? Or was it when?
It was Knoxville.
That's where Trung got his car.
Somebody spilled like Coke on it or whatever, right?
Spit on it and they put out a cigarette butt on his soft top convertible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on his R8. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he must have flew by somebody.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I know that guy.
The hater.
Okay, before we get to the bird story, it was hilarious when Trung. So he had his passenger driving, Danny, I think it was, right? And Trung stands up. We're going highway speeds. Like I think it was like 80 or whatever at this time. He stands up, looks back at the rest of us. He's standing straight up in his passenger seat, and then just like he had they both had their shirts off because they're tanning in his convertible while driving. Yes. And he stands up and just sprays himself with like what was it, tanning oil?
Yeah. I don't know what it was. Maybe sunblock or whatever, but it looked like a commercial.
It was like a beautiful commercial, and I wanted to get a picture of it so bad, but he didn't want to do it again. And I think some of it ended up on a semi's windshield, so there's that too. But but the bird story. So we were literally like packing up at like 7 a.m. And at 7 a.m., like I just like hear the tweeting or whatever.
You were in like a spiritual mood in that morning. I remember it too.
Spiritual. I was feeling. Oh, it's a good vibe. Like whenever I go on
great vibe.
When I go on trips like this, especially across the country in some really cool cars with cool people, like it's a different mindset. Like I actually got to ride with Joe Zerka in his Viper. First time in a naturally aspirated Viper was a blast. It's just a different level of like happiness, you know. Like I really hope everybody gets to experience that at least once in their lifetime. Being an automotive photographer has definitely gave me some awesome opportunities, and same with you as well, being in the community. But yeah, I was in a good spiritual mood, so I think I was feeling like Dr. Doolittle that day. But anyways, this bird's like stuck in the lobby or whatever, like the back lobby, and I'm like, Mo, there's a bird in here. That's right. And you looked at me like, Harris is on some bullshit right now. Like I remember you telling me the story, like, the fuck is he talking? Is this like some sort of like analogy? Like, I'm like, no, Mo, there's literally a bird in the lobby. And then I go over there and I literally just grabbed this thing. I think it was like a sparrow or something. It was beautiful. I felt like Jesus or something. And and I'm not a Christian, so but I pick up this bird and I just go. And you're just like, what the fuck just happened?
I was so confused. I was like, this dude has to ride again with me.
Oh, dude. Because so I used to have like parakeets as a kid. So like I know how to handle birds. Like just grab the fucker, you know. So it's like I just grabbed this little thing because it kept hitting the window. I'm like, dude, I gotta get this thing out of here. It's gonna concuss itself and die anyway. Honestly, it probably lasted an hour before a hawk swooped on it. You know how them southern hawks be, but nonetheless, that was
Story of life.
That was a great trip. Yeah, I think that covers everything from that trip. That was one of the wildest trips ever. We gotta do it. Actually, would you be open to doing it in October, potentially?
October, I'm actually going back down to the tail for the GTR. There's like a huge GTR meet.
Did you go there last year too?
I did do it last year, and this year is supposed to be a lot bigger. Like over 100 GTRs are gonna meet up. So looking forward to that. Yeah.
Did you see Eric, who was one of the people that went with us down to Tail? He's over at that
PPI.
The big Viper event. There's over 400 Vipers out in Colorado right now.
Oh yeah.
Dude, what I would do to be there, man. Oh,
that's a cool event.
That's cool. So that's like, and that's the nice thing about like, that's the crazy thing about car enthusiasts, especially in this world of social media, is like that everybody's kind of connected now. So like, you'll meet a GTR guy from California, Texas, Florida, and they're all going to converge on this one city. Bless their hearts, because you're going to have all these guys just, you know, two-stepping, anti-lagging their GTRs, all this. So that's going to be a cool event. Yeah. Do you have a passenger for that?
I don't think so, because we weren't able to find a babysitter.
Yeah. He doesn't want to say no on air to me.
No, I'm not saying that. I just want to commit to you on air, and then you got proof.
And I got proof. Yeah. So you recently picked up this RX7, and it's got an LS in it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a twin turbo LS. So tell us a little bit about this. Where'd you pick up the car?
So I picked it up from Greensboro, North Carolina.
You really love the South down there.
And so kind of adding on to the GTR group, it was just kind of a word of mouth thing. And it turned out that this car has been in the shop for about 13 years. And so it went in initially from a previous owner, and he was doing some work. And then I think he was initially going to start the LS swap, and then he got sick, and so he needed to pay for his medical bills.
Mm-hmm.
And so essentially what happened was the owner at that time, he bought the RX-7 from him, and he's a fabricator by trade, so he worked on a lot of the intercooler piping and radiator piping and all these hard lines for where the steam ports are on the LS and stuff like that. So he wanted to really just showcase that. And so he had it himself for about 5 years, and he was just kind of slowly building it and building it and building it. And so he also has an R8. He busted the transmission on the R8, and he needed to liquidate some of his stuff so that he can pay for the R8. So he sold.
Is it a Gen 1 or Gen 2?
It's a Gen 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's it's an expensive fix.
I didn't realize those transmissions could get busted.
I can't remember what happened, but he was getting it ready for Texas 2K that year, and he was trying to liquidate. So he sold that. He sold his GTR, and you know, he didn't end up making it to Texas 2K, but that's how I initially heard about it. So yeah, so started talking to him in February. Really, I didn't want to buy someone else's complete project. And so the agreement that I had with him was I want to make sure that at least the motor, because there's a lot invested in that engine, to at least make sure that's running at least decently, do a base tune on it because it's never been tuned. And I don't ever like to, the tune, if it's not done right, like that just scares me.
You don't want to deal with the gremlins that come with that.
Exactly. And so we had Helltech in there. And so it's a small world, man. So he ended up just reaching out to Tune by Sean, and for tuning, I think a customer's 240SX, and so he had a hub dyno in his shop, and so I told him, you know, I want to make sure that it's running. I want to make sure the Helltech is all connected. I want to make sure it's safe. You know what I mean? Before I like start diving into it. And so so we did that on 93. It came up to 500 horse, and then on E85 it did one pull at 620. And so I was like, cool, I'm good. And this was after I had taken a look at it, and just a ton of money had been put into it, and just not love. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like loose ends that were kind of cut. when I bought it and I brought it back, and I took it to Dave Rasmussen and Sean Christensen's new shop, DRSC. There's a lot of wiring issues, and naturally, it happens when you put a domestic motor, or it's not its natural heart, right? So Sean was turning it off one day, and he turns it off, and a poof of black smoke comes out from the dash. And so he calls me and tells me that, and I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, I'm not willing to risk anything. We need to rewire the entire car. And so we put a PDM in there, so that it eliminates a lot of circuitry, and a lot of wiring is gone, a lot of relays, a lot of mess is essentially gone. I mean, this guy had a Volkswagen fuse box in there for some of the components. So, and no shade to him, it was a great people that I bought it from. And so right now we're rewiring the entire car, putting a brand new engine harness. I upgraded the Elite 2000 to a Nexus R3. And the PDM unit will be nice, because then I have the keypad where, same with the GTR, push to start and all these different components. But yeah, I mean, really the thing I wanted to do with that is reliability, right? Like, it's going to be a fun track car, a roll race car type of deal. And I just want to make sure it's safe. Fires scare me. So
that was going to be my question. What was the purpose of the RX7? Because it seems like it was already being built with the purpose of doing something crazy. With 620 horsepower in that little car, what do those things weigh? Like 2,900 pounds?
They weigh 2,800 pounds, and that's on 7 pounds of boost.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say next. Is that's literally just like the base maps.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
exactly.
Have you driven it at any higher horsepower than that 620 or no?
No. I even when I got on, I drove it once to a Caffeine and Octane. And it was pretty sketchy. I mean, I should have looked over everything. But I had Sean and Dave also do like a shakedown test and just list of everything that could possibly be wrong with the car. And before I like really got on it, like, I want that to be done just to be safe. But yeah, the car is capable. I mean, it has enough fuel injector, and internal build, to be up to 1,400 horsepower. But I don't think I'm going to be turning up that high, but I do want a chill and a kill mode on there at least. So.
And then kill.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I remember I was talking to Chaz about his Porsche. He says that Dave gave him a kill map. He's like, do not, under any circumstance, use this map unless you have 20 grand on the line, because you might need it. So, but yeah, 1,400. That is gonna. I mean, I'm sure there's other things that you would have to do to make it official. I mean, I'm guessing you can't just be like,
you just got to dyno it. Literally, you got to turn up the boost, because I mean, internals are all built. It has enough fuel, has enough injector. It's literally all comes down to the tune, and that's why the tune on 7 pounds of PSI on 2 big twin turbos. That's why I came out to 620 on E85, and so it'll move, but I need it to be reliable,
right?
And I need it to go into a straight line, obviously.
So since size matters, how big are the turbos?
I think they're 82 millimeters.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Christ.
Yes, sir.
Which LS is it?
It's a 5.3 that's stroked out to a 5.9.
Oh,
so it's LS1.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So it's like a stroker.
Yes. Yeah.
That's got to sound so nasty.
It's straight piped right now, and it's I'm embarrassed because I live in a cul-de-sac, and so it bellows and echoes off all the houses, and I'm just like, I need to run this.
It's a full-blown race car, dude.
Oh, it's a race car, 100%. Yeah.
Because like even as like Sean said, even at 620 wheel in that little car, like I've been in Alex's Talon. I think he was making 5 something at the time. I don't know, give or take 50. And that car pulled like it almost it wasn't too far away from Arrow's Huracan, which is kind of crazy. And like that's a supercar, DSM. Like, right? Is it DSM?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not tripping. I'm thinking about KDM and dumbass Kias and whatever. But yeah, that is gonna be a fast car. Like that's already a supercar killer at that level. Imagine if you even took it up to like 800 or 1,000. And you're telling me that thing's capable of 1,400 like that. Don't do that. You got kids.
I'm not going to.
You got
Yeah,
kids.
I have no intention to.
Yeah, but that if you ever want, like, that would not be.
I got to keep the wheels on. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
that's going to be my biggest struggle with this car. That's why I upgraded to the Nexus R3s because it has traction control.
Okay.
So as long as you we'll put in speed sensors and try to manage it that way. But it almost brings me back to the Golf days where traction was always an issue. But this is yeah.
So.
But it came with welds and it came with LMs and stuff like that. So if you want another set of LMs, let me know.
What color are they?
They're silver.
Silver?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It wouldn't be bad to have another.
What are you,
set.
5x114.3?
Yeah.
What sizes are yours right now?
I believe 9 and I want to say 9 and a 9.5 or 10.
I'm 18 by 8.5 squared.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's make a deal right here. The first ever podcast sale. Let's do it right now.
I got the dealer chip.
Yeah. Dude, that's gonna be a freaking rowdy car. What about safety? Is there any like cage in there or anything like
Yeah,
that?
there's a cage in there.
Half or full?
It's a half cage.
Half cage. Okay. Yeah. Isn't it when you start messing? It might apply to both because I'm not well versed in this matter. But when you start putting cages in cars, for street cars at least, if you don't have a helmet, it's actually more dangerous.
Yes.
Technically, is that for full cages only? Or?
I think it's for full. Yeah, I think it's like the full tube, like the NASCAR style.
Yeah, because like if you hit your head, to the side or
yeah.
wherever, yeah, that's legit. But yeah, and this is gonna probably be my 4th or 5th time mentioning it on this freaking podcast. But like Calvo's crash, like that cage did its job, dude.
Yeah.
It's like when you get into those fast cars, and again mentioning 458 Destroyer, like he literally was doing a street hit and he had a helmet on.
Yeah. Something. I mean, it is what it is.
That's part of what you sign up for. And it's like honestly, it'd be kind of funny, like just pull up to a stoplight. Dude's got like imagine a kid. Like a 10-year-old seeing like that dude's got a freaking helmet on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever miss the fact that thing does? So okay, that was really out of pocket when you got that car because nobody expected it.
Right. Yeah.
It's an LS Swapped RX7. Like at first I was like, oh cool, he's getting himself like another JDM. It's gonna have a rotary and everything. Blah blah blah.
No.
So my question to you is this your midlife crisis?
No, it is going to be the car that I wanted to, like what I wanted the GTR to do, but minus the big ticket expenses. The LS is a super reliable motor.
And cheap.
It's
cheaper.
Relatively cheap. But also, access to parts. It has an 8.8 rear, T56 transmission with an 8.8 rear. And so all that stuff is, pretty accessible. And so it's really a track car, take it out to the track and not worry too much about it, but trailer it out, that sort of thing. And so that's kind of the goal right now.
So what is speaking on goals, so what's next for the car? Like once you're done with all, rewiring everything, is it like because you're going to want this for like power cruise, I'm guessing.
100%. Yeah.
Right. Power cruise, like, just take it up to BIR. So is there anything mod-wise that you're planning to do next, like aero or anything like that, or not really?
Yeah, eventually. I think that I think right now the primary goal
get it working,
get it reliable, and safe. Those are kind of the primary things. There was some cooling issues, and so I guess next up might be some fab work that might need to be adjusted with the turbo kit the way that they've installed it. But yeah, right now, honestly, just get it safe. Get it, and then after that, get it dyno tuned, and put in a couple maps and play with it, and then
Is that all going to be done before the end of the season?
No, it's not a race.
No, take it slow. Yeah,
maybe another 5 years.
No.
It's already taken 13 years. So what's another 1 or 2?
I'm looking for it. I'll probably be able to drive it before the snow flies, but even at that point, like. You're so close to the winter time, like there's no real rush.
Just get like just like one day, and then just store it, and then do what you got to do over the winter.
Yeah. I really want to get it ready for the first power cruise of next season.
I like the color on it too.
Yeah, Montego Blue's great, man. And I got tan Brom racing seats.
Oh.
And so I've always liked that contrast. So
can't go wrong with tan seats.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I show you pictures of how the seats were. Did not have the right brackets in. Some cheap racing seats.
Oh, so you bought these seats then?
I bought these brand new.
Oh,
The
okay.
Brom racing seats. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to putting those in.
It's getting some love then.
Oh, for sure. It's gonna get a lot. It's gotten a lot of love so far. So
I'm freaking excited for that. Tell us a little bit about Boosted Minneapolis. How'd that come to
Sure.
fruition?
So really, it started because I did not want to post all my car content on my normal page.
Mhm.
I like to believe that I'm a humble person, and so like I didn't want to gloat or anything like that, but also wanted just a way where I can channel like my creativity and then also my love for cars. And that's kind of just how Boosted MPLS kind of formed. And then just like, I mean, you guys know you guys are car guys, so you get into this rabbit hole, and then I'm looking at all these videos and I'm just like, oh, this would be cool to do X, Y, and Z. And then you get into the rabbit hole of playing with different cameras and lenses and all these different things. And so that's kind of how it started. And that side hustle has brought on another side hustle of doing like marketing and video work for small businesses and stuff like that. And, for example, like Automotorplex, all their caffeine and octane stuff and all their newsletters and stuff like that. So I do a lot of their marketing and that all came just from like learning how a camera works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it turned into that. So,
Dude, cameras are weird, man. Like I was telling Sean this and Ian earlier in this episode. It's like it really opened up a whole new world of opportunity for me.
Oh, yeah.
Like a world that I did not even know existed.
right.
So it's crazy. And by the way, I have to get this in there. Even though this episode is going to drop on Monday after the show, if you did not go to Oktoberfest, you're a loser.
You're probably busy.
Oktoberfest is one of my favorite car shows of the season. Just because I drive a
Yeah.
BMW and it's like
It's one of the best shows of
time
the
to
year.
shine.
Celebrate me.
Celebrate me.
Well, a lot of people show up and they go, "Oh, that's a 1M." I know about that because I'm also a BMW head because this is my show.
Well, actually, as well. So BMW North America, they are doing a concours judging.
Oh yeah,
So-
I got first place last year.
That's right, you did.
I got first place in the street street
right.
class.
That's right. That's right.
I felt so honored and
have to
happy.
be- yeah, you
I
have to
think
go
that was
back.
my first trophy that I ever won, and I have it downstairs right now. It's just a little PowerPoint like presentation, like
Certificate.
certificate. But hey, it's one of the best things ever. So I'll take it.
It's something, man. It's awesome. Like I actually, so I don't know if you saw the cruise that we did last week, but Jay with the silver Audi R8, he was like, all right, who's all going to Cars and Coffee on Saturday? And by the way, Cars and Coffee is typically every first Saturday, but this is the one time they put it on a second Saturday. I think they did it last year too. And I texted Jay. I'm like, dude, wrong show. Like, I don't get me wrong, nothing towards Cars and Coffee, but like, bro, you got to go to Oktoberfest, and you got an R8. Like, it's a mandatory thing. So let's do a cruise there. And it's also right next to Imola, which is the next show after,
Right.
which that's going to be a sweet show. I'm really excited. I hope by the time we record the next podcast, I'll be celebrating what was over there. That's going to be really
Yes.
fun.
Yeah, it's a good weekend.
It's a,
And then,
yeah.
I mean, if you want to go up to the track, there's Carmageddon
Yep.
2 is this weekend as well. So
Yeah, I feel bad. Piero texted me. He's like, "You want to go?" I'm like, "No." Like I've also gotten in the habit of not explaining myself. Like I'm just like, "No, I can't. Sorry." Like, because like when 10 people asking you to explain yourself to 10 people, it's just a time suck. I'm just like, "No, I can't. Sorry."
Yeah.
I think at that point you got to make like a public announcement, like, "Hey, please stop messaging me. I'm not going."
Well, that's the thing. Like, but that's the other thing too. Like, I don't want to trap myself in this thing like to where people don't invite me anymore. Because I like being invited to things. It's just that sometimes you're too slow. Somebody else got to me, or I'm doing something else, or like like I couldn't go on G-Force because we were having some health stuff in the family. So it's like, all right, just it's timing. So please keep inviting me.
Yes.
But it's gonna be a no sometimes, especially like it's like I gotta choose like what's more important. Like he wants me to go autocross. I'm like, dude, I can't like the ticket's cheap. It's $70, no big deal. But if I toast these tires, I have to get new tires in a month, and I can't really like right now is not the time to be blowing money on a car, So because I'm fully invested on this podcast and all that fun stuff. So, but yeah, I'd love to go up to Carmageddon for like a day, maybe. I'll consider it. It'd be kind of cool. Because BIR is what 2.5 hours from here, Sean?
I
From
think
here, yeah.
I think it was like 3 hours, but I was driving an RV, so I was going literally the speed limit.
Yeah. No, it's from here it's about 2.5 hours. 'Cause you guys are 30 minutes from my house. 2 hours.
All right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's gonna be a great weekend of shows. Like this is the weekend of the year, just because like Imola is like the only place you really get to see all the hyper cars in Minnesota, except for that one time they brought it out to Caffeine and Octane. The one Caffeine and Octane I miss, 3 of Scott's Bugattis show up. It's like, come on.
Yeah, Bruno told me the a couple of nights before, and it turned out really, really nice.
Thanks for the text. No kidding. So what's next for you with Boosted Minneapolis and just keep having fun? Are you still focused on growing the channel a lot?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I still post at least shorts right now every day. Longer form video has gotten a little more difficult just with everything else that's going on.
Goldfish brains.
Yeah. And so so essentially it's, just continue just to go out to events and try to grow the channel, and it's getting good traction and it's fun. So yeah.
The GTR has always been one that I've always kind of wondered, like, have you ever thought about taking it up another notch or not really? Like, that's what the RX7's for at this point.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, the cheap parts or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one thing that I was thinking about, like, earlier today, like, when we were going to come on. It's like, there's a good amount of people that have taste nowadays because of gatekeeping, but, like, you truly have good taste when it comes to, like, cars. Like, you've always had a great color choice for your cars. I think I liked the blue. I didn't love it, but it was still good. I did love the cream when you had that, and now you have what's this current color you got?
It's I forgot what it's called, but it's like it's a dark.
It's like a maroon kind of.
Yeah, it's basically like a maroon.
Yeah.
It's a red black iridescent by KPMG.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
KPMF. Okay.
Yes.
Is this your first time using KPMF?
Yes, because my first was Avery, then a Nose Attack, and then KPMF.
And you wrapped them. No, you had a guy wrap it.
Yes.
Each time, right? Down in Iowa?
Yeah, shout out to them, man. Autoform Styling. They are located in Des Moines, Iowa. They do all my wraps. And that's another reason why I never bought another car for a long time, because every time I got the itch, I would just get it re-wrapped. Mm-hmm. And it fulfilled that, that itch. So
yeah, and those guys down there, they're Bosnian too, right?
Shout out to Bosnia.
Yeah. Those are my homies from another mother or whatever you want to say.
There's no confidence there.
Huh?
They're your people.
They're my people. No, I really like it. Yeah, you've always been. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that KPMF's gonna come off, because like I've talked to a few shops before. It leaves a lot of glue. Like Reed's Porsche, when we had it on the Whiplash rally, he took it off and it was like a ton of glue. I'm like, yeah, well, you wanted that color, so. But yeah, let's see.
Speaking of rallies, are you going on any?
No. I think the last thing that I'll do is that big GTR meet. I'm really looking forward to that. So
are you going with anybody, or are you just gonna meet up?
I'm trying to get some of the GTR guys from here to go. It's a big commitment, obviously, mileage wise and time wise. So
yeah. Is it like a whole weekend, or is it just like
it's a whole weekend? No, it's a whole weekend. We booked out a full resort, Fontana Dam Resort, basically.
Sweet.
And so like this resort will be filled with GTRs, and I mean, I've established some really good relationships from the last time I went, but last time I was the only one to head down to, and I'm all about meeting people, man.
Yeah. Is there not like a Minnesota chapter of like GTRs?
There is.
Yeah. Harris is on it.
I think I'm admin now,
he's in
too.
like every group.
Yeah.
You can't go into a single like MN chapter of anything without seeing like Harris in it.
That's fair. No, it's got about 200 people in there, I think.
Yeah.
Like 150 with 200.
Something like that.
I'm surprised then that it'd be, hard to even get like maybe like just 5 of them to like get to go with you.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably pester them a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I might have 2, but we'll see how that goes. I'm trying to get Josh and Mark to roll with, but we'll see.
Dude, Mark knows how to have a good time.
Mark is a good guy.
He said he's never listened to a podcast before until he listened to mine, so that was pretty cool. Like,
shout out to Mark.
Yeah, no, I think he's what, 650 wheel ish? Like he's that level of tuning on his.
Yeah,
like
very similar.
Basic FBO. No. So yeah, because he just went to New York for a couple weeks too, and like that, he just knows how to have a fun time, man. Like he's just like, let's do it. So that'd be a fun one.
Mark is good people, man.
Yeah, no, I want to go down to tail. Like I've been talking to people, like, so we're kind of itching to either do like another lumberjack rally, is what we coined it last year, which was basically a lot of my former ralliers just doing like a little mini 2-day rally. a guy reached out to me on Facebook. Actually, he's like, "Hey, we got a new Airbnb or whatever near Road America. It's like a mansion or whatever. It can sleep like 14 people or something like that. Like it's sizable, right? So it'd be kind of cool to get like 6 or 7 cars, go out there and then go watch the races or something. So that's another option. But I don't know. We'll see how I feel after the community rally because that's what me and Sean are doing.
Right.
I'm really really excited for that, and then I'm gonna see how I feel after that because like there's so much going on in October. FL2K, World Cup finals. And then it's like, oh, do I want to go down to like Tail of the Dragon or something like that? So and all these things cost money, things I'm lacking right now. But it's like, oh man, if I had to do one of those 3, like, what would I do? What do you think?
FL2K.
FL2K.
But I'm biased, obviously, because it's essentially a Supra and GTR event.
Right, but the World Cup too is freaking huge.
World Cup is huge too in Maryland. It's in Maryland, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I would do World Cup just because I've never even seen like press or like media of it, so I feel like it would be really cool just to go see it in person and have that be like my experience of it.
I've been listening to the Cooper Baguetti's or whatever podcast, Baguetti Studios. Really, it's one of my favorite ones to listen to because he has really cool guests and he's in that like Florida sphere down there. So and he was talking about like how down there like in they really love their JDM culture down there. So like you said, like the Supras and RX7s and all that, like that goes down there. So that'd be really cool because that's a scene that I just haven't really cracked myself personally.
Sure.
I've just always kind of been around supercars these last few years. I don't know how that happened, but
Mopar.
Well, I started with Mopar, a lot of Mopar. I haven't shot a Mopar in a very long time outside of like the Viper, but that's more in the supercar category. So I don't know. I think part of it is also like a lot of people think I'm older than I am, and that kind of helps me get into the rooms I'm in.
Nice.
So that helps. That's why the beard's back. I got
right.
Well, I think when you look at like some like the average age of most of the photographers that like go to these events, they're usually like 17, 18. They're like young,
they go
just
to
getting
events,
into it, and that's like their ticket in. But like for you, you've been doing it for so many years now, and you're still in it. But you kind of evolved from like going to shows and taking photos, and now you have a clientele and you're able to get into these businesses and shops and talking to people about what can I do for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Speaking of shops, I'm not gonna announce it on this episode, but JWP, he actually reached out to me yesterday. He's like, dude, I got an idea, and I'll tell you what it is off air, but I'm 100% pursuing it. It's big enough to where I need a second videographer. Like
Nice.
It's like I'm going full send with this. But he reached out to me. He's like, he actually called me at like 7 a.m, and I was sleeping.
That's when he gets stuff done. John is great. He's always full of ideas. When he calls you at 7 a.m, you pick up that phone.
Right, yeah. And that was like the one day I was like sleeping in because like I was having some issues rendering out of Trey's episode, actually, I think it was. Yeah. Or some dumb editing issues. So I decided to sleep in because I was up till 2 a.m. or whatever. And then, we basically didn't get to talk until 9 p.m. because he does 16-hour days. Like almost nobody works harder than that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Shout out
he
to
was
John.
he was so, we're going to have him on later this year, probably in the winter. That's when things will die down. I'm itching to get him in here because that dude's got stories, man. Like he goes back to the
He's an
Honda
OG,
days.
man. Oh yeah.
Everybody respects John, I feel, in the community, but he's like, I don't care if you pursue this idea. I just need you to know this because you're perfect for this. Like you got everything because like based off of this podcast and my photo and all that stuff. So be on the lookout for an announcement on that in the next few weeks. Actually, I think I might want you to be a part of it. I think you might be a perfect fit for this if you're open to it. But
yeah,
be on the lookout for that. But should we pop the usual?
What about
thing?
me?
We'll talk.
Man, you don't put any respect on me, huh? You're like, you don't got anything cool. You don't have anything to offer.
No. We have to find the right matchup. So like I'm thinking of like again, I don't want to reveal it on air until it comes to fruition.
You're about to spoil it.
No,
Yeah.
we're right at that level.
But back to your point, Sean. Shout out to those 17-year-olds that are at those car shows because that's how you start.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's like in this industry, like that's exactly what it is. Like, what can I do for you? And so definitely shout out to those like youngins that are going to all those car shows and just learning their cameras. You know what I mean? Because I think we were all there at one point, and it takes a while. It's a grind.
There's so much to learn.
You gotta figure out
time.
your style. What do you like?
Or lack thereof.
Don't like make the same thing that everybody else is doing. Because you can put your whole different spin on it.
For sure.
There's a lot of talent. Like, so that's actually one of the reasons. So a couple weeks ago, I saw somebody do like a crazy video. Like, he's not even in the car scene, but he did a crazy car video with the drone, the stuff that Jeff and all of them did. And I loved it. It was amazing. It was so good that I got fucking mad. I'm like, I have to get better because there's so many. And then I started like looking at these other photographers. I'm like, dude, there's a lot of these like young guys coming up, and I'm like, dude, I've been sleeping. Like, I gotta work on myself because I didn't lose the hunger. I just was kind of like rinse and repeat. Like, I'm good at what I do. I mean, I'm not trying to brag. Like, it's just I've been doing it for so long. I'd like to think I'm decent.
Yeah.
But I started seeing all these like new people come on the scene. I'm like, there's a lot of talent here, and it's awesome. I love it. Like, I want to, like, I'm, a rising tide floats all boats or whatever the hell this saying is. So it's like,
It's the truth though.
Yeah.
I mean, and even like shout out to you, like you invite those youngins, or you'll shoot me a message if you have a shoot or whatever. And I think that's important to keep going within the photography community, because there is a fine line between, oh, I look at that person as my competition versus looking at that person as, hey, he may have a different perspective. I can help him elevate, his game, or vice versa. And then that's how you build your network.
I really struggled with that. Like,
it's tough, man. A lot of people do struggle with that.
Actually, I struggled with it mostly because I just made this my full time. It's one thing when you're doing it part time, but when you have competition, when you're doing it full time, it's like, oh, well, I don't want this person taking food off my plate. And I literally had to ask myself deep down, I'm like, do I want to be that guy that's, scrapping for clients? Like, and I really thought about it. I'm like, well, if I give this guy a shout out, does that mean my clients are going to go to him or something? And that's happened before. And, I know
it's a natural thing. Yeah, it's a natural thing.
But I had to ask myself, like, that is a shitty thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, what it comes down to really is that you will be like, I found myself, at least like for the video stuff, like there'd be a lot of times where, based on those good relationships that you have with other photographers or videographers, whatever the case is, they can help you as you help them, right? So there's a lot of times, and that's, shout out to Derek. I mean, every time like I was doing a lot of these different videos, he would come out and I would need a thumbnail because I would want to focus just on video at that time. Oh. And he would come out and help me, and just for him, getting those shots or that exposure, he would hook me up with the thumbnail, and it's a collaboration, you know what I mean? And I learned so much from our photography from him. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm indebted to, you know what I mean? To that, but that's the community that we need to kind of promote rather than the competition and to your point, like worrying about clients and stuff like that, because that all the client stuff comes down to your personal relationship with those people, right? Mm-hmm. They like your style
and your personality.
100%.
Like when my shoots, I especially when I meet new clients, I'm like, because like my goal is to, I'd like to think I'm funny. So like, I just want to give them a good experience overall. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not just me. Like, I don't want to sit there quietly taking photos. Like, I'm trying to, kind of like entertain, get to know you. Cause like, I do care about, like that, the wide body Evo I shot, that thing was sick. Like, I was asking the guy a ton of questions. Turns out they're both younger than me. You know how mad I was about that, to have people younger than me? I was like, I used to be a young person everywhere in every group. I'm getting old, but it's like, part of its personality. Like, people just love, like, there's a quote, I can't remember who made it, but it's like, people love being around people who make them feel good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I like to feel. I'm not just a photographer. I'm trying to be, a friend. Like, let's do this. Like, let's have a good time. Like, this is a whole experience. But
as long as people are seen, heard, and valued,
yes,
that's all it really is.
I always tell people, learn how to talk.
Yeah, that too, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. But some people just don't know how to talk.
Sure.
Like, they're just learning.
It's true. Yeah.
And that's part of it too. So like, that's the biggest thing I tell people. Like, it doesn't matter if you end up doing sales or something, but at least learn how to convey your thoughts.
Yeah.
And hear other people's thoughts.
It's all storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this little community of ours. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to promote, and that's actually one of the reasons I love having guests on the podcast, like such as yourself or anybody. It's like, you get to hear people's stories. Like, oh shit, they were in my position 5, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So super cool stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's, promote the positivity in the community and let it shine.
This little light of mine. No. We pop the usual 3, Sean.
Yeah, I think it's time.
It's a late night.
If you haven't listened to the show before, we like to ask our guests a little question that kind of lets us know a little bit more about their tastes in vehicles. So all you got to do is pick 3 cars. One's a daily, one's a track car, one's a show car. You got unlimited budget for all 3. Your imagination, that's your limit.
Yeah, hopefully your imagination isn't too limited.
No, it's the opposite. It's unlimited.
Yeah, see, I think like having that unlimited really like, is daunting because it's like, wow, it just opens up the whole window. Your range is as unlimited as possible. So
yeah, I'm curious.
some people have a hard time picking like a daily, and they already
Daily's
know.
the hardest one.
It is.
It was so funny when we asked AJ. I was like, "No RS6." He's like, "I got an RS6."
That doesn't count. He only gets 3, right?
But I
Yeah.
don't know for his daily. Like, yeah,
Huge. Okay.
He's like, "Oh, I want a Urus." I'm like, "What about an RS?" Because everybody says RS6. Like that is such an amazing.
Most people. I want to say that's probably the common for a daily.
We need to put together a spreadsheet to throw it on the Monoxide website at some
yeah.
point. Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough to like have like a significant like curve, but it would be.
Well, no.
pretty
I mean, in
interesting.
general, like just like what everybody has chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're 38 episodes deep now, so it's like that's
Well,
100-something
except
cars.
for we didn't start asking this question until like what, episode 11, 12?
correct. Yeah, so 25 episodes, still 75 cars.
About, yeah.
All right, did we buy you enough time?
Yeah, the daily's the hardest. The daily I'll come back to.
All right.
Yeah,
So you said what? A show car and a track car?
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, so daily would be a Porsche.
There's so many Porsches. Which one?
2RS.
A what?
Hold on. No.
You're going to daily a GT2 RS?
I mean, if
Trey said a Huracan.
yeah,
The
like
twin turbo Huracan Lamborghini, yeah.
between that or the turbo, the SUV one for like because I have to. So it's my only daily, and I still have like my family and everything.
Yeah,
You still have your family. We're not
Yeah.
getting rid of your
Well,
family.
what works for you and your family? What's
I
gonna
would do
get
it.
you through the day?
All right, we're good. Okay, so daily would be like a Raptor.
All right.
The track car would be a 2RS.
Yeah.
And then the show car would be
Better not be GTR.
it definitely would be a GTR, but not the
Oh.
R35. It'd be like an R34. There's that all carbon one that was at SEMA. That would be my show car.
Wow, that would be really impressive. Just one up. Who's Freedom GTR?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically that, but R34. I know what car you're talking about. I saw
You know
pictures.
what I'm
of
talking
it.
about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember specifically, but I remember seeing it was at last year's SEMA, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. I need to pull up a picture of that. That was an amazing car. You know what's one of my favorite cars in the world right now, though, is
Is it weird that I don't care too much for hypercars?
I don't know because I think that's just so like for us we can't even imagine it. It's unattainium, so we couldn't
Yeah.
even fathom.
your
You know,
But
imagination's
even
limited.
if you could,
Like what
my-
owning one could even be like. Whereas like most of the cars that our guests have said, there's some expectation as to how these vehicles drive and how they work. Like I feel like you get a Pagani Huayra, you have no idea what you're doing.
Do you
in
know
that
how
car.
contrasted AJ's and Rat's answers was? AJ's like, I want a Pagani. Rat says, I want a Civic because he wants his like,
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
think
so awesome.
so. My problem with hypercars is that I feel like they age so fast.
Really?
That's my problem with them.
Ooh,
Yeah,
you,
like
you look at like one
look
of
at
the
look at
first,
a Bugatti Veyron, for example.
yeah.
It looks hella tacky.
I don't know, dude. I just
That's my opinion.
you're
It does look tacky.
Come
I don't
at
know.
me, but and that car came out when? They're not
Uh,
timeless. That's my problem with them.
Well, that's the thing about cars, though, is that they're in development 5-6 years before they even launched. So they were developing the Veyron in the 90s when you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. But it came out what in 2000?
I want to say like
5?
5, 6. I mean, like we don't know. I don't research these.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, and then you look at like some of the wires. To your point, like the interior is shout out to all these.
Bespoke.
Yes, bespoke. But I feel like it'll age like grandma's furniture.
No, man, I don't. It's literally a work of art when I see the interior, and it's like literally everything is like handmade. Like nothing is like
I
been
know,
touched
but
by a
like,
machine.
That's the way I look at it. It's very gaudy.
Is very bespoke, and
Yeah. And I'm not a loud person, and I think that's why.
yeah. Well, and then like I look at Rolls Royce from like 20 or like 2009, 2010. They look like modern cars. They
Ooh.
design them so well.
I'm not
like,
a fan of those though. I mean, I guess if you put them on like nice wheels, but
No, like
I don't-
I see like Rolls Royce and I see like a picture. I'm like, wow, that looks really good. Like that must be like a 2017, 2018. I see the model year. It's like 2009. I'm like, wow, they really know like their design language.
Mhm.
They were way ahead of like everything. And now like you see like a 2023, that's gonna look amazing like 20 years.
agreed.
That's
now.
true.
I think another
Like,
thing we
they're-
had to
they're
remember though,
Gorgeous.
you got to remember though that cars in general are kind of like a young design language. Like cars are only like what 120, 130 years old or whatever it is. Like it hasn't developed over time. Like whereas like, you know, like art in general, like I don't know, sculptures, pottery, whatever, it's thousands of years old. Like, you know, there's rules to it. And I think we're slowly developing rules to making cars, but I think we don't do enough drugs anymore. I think that's the other problem.
I'm a simple man. I think that's the other thing too. Like,
Yeah.
you give me a Porsche on the track, and a show car like that.
Porsche design language is
It's either a
it's
Porsche or
been
like
the-
a F1 car.
It's been the same.
That's the way I look
since,
at
like,
it. Like for me,
almost since like the 70s, like
Yeah.
the same turbo or Carrera, like they all have the same headlight, they all have the same body shape. There's no mistaking.
Yeah.
Like when you see the silhouette of a Porsche 911,
You just know.
you just know, and their
Yeah.
design language is just like so good.
Yeah.
Except for some of the like 944 or the 936, like some of their offshoots, it's kind of like, you missed the mark. But the 911's what sells.
That's true. Actually, I would choose. It's the Porsche. What is it? The 911 Turbo S. I think it's a 996 with the big old wing. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be
the whale tail,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. It's basically the whale tail. That's one of the. That'd be somewhere in that list. If I had to replace that, that's a man. They're like $2 million now.
Really?
Yeah, it's silly.
What are your thoughts on singers?
I like that. I mean, I like them.
There's gonna be a really cool one at the show this weekend. Did you see that one?
The green one or the blue
It's
one?
black, I think.
Ooh, I
It's
haven't
like
seen
black
that
with
yet.
brown. I think unless it's like blue in the dark or whatever. But like the green one was cool. But oh man, something about a black singer just screams to me. Or like a white one would be so nice. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, certain colors and certain cars just look right.
Yeah. I'm a motorsports guy, so like I consider even a track car a show car. And
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, but you can't do the other way around. You can't bring a show car really to the track sometimes. But like I feel like you bring a track car to a show and it's like, oh, it resembles so much more.
Derek
Yeah.
Sinton's a perfect example of that. Like everybody loves his Corvette, dude. Like that thing is a purpose built. Like it's got a plywood splitter. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody loves it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Big ol' wang.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I freaking love motorsport liveries too. Like that's one of the other things I love about rallies is like you can take like a motorsport livery and put
That's
it on your
true.
car. Like for example, the Advan one that we had on the GTR. Like people love that, and they didn't
Yeah.
even know if the car was black or red. Like it was just like
Yeah.
trippy.
Yeah.
I don't know, but damn, I had something I wanted to complain about with the hypercars. I forgot what it was. I don't know.
All right. Do we need to stall for some time while you think?
No, I think we should wrap this one up. I think unless you
We don't
want
want to hear Harris complaining.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're right. He'll
We
be
get
talking
enough
for
of
another
that.
15, 20 minutes.
He's gonna go
And
on
we'll
a
just
rant.
be nodding our heads. Yeah, Harris, yeah.
Are you complaining about me complaining?
Yeah, dude. Are you
Exactly.
kidding? Every time you get into a rant, it's like I'm just sitting here shaking my head like, oh no.
Stop buying me time. You're gonna set me off, dude. I'm gonna be triggered. Mo, where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, at BoostedMPLS.
Perfect. And then before we get into where we can find Sean, please make sure that you guys are checking out the newsletter. You can go basically to the monoxide.com website, just add yourself to the newsletter, get updates on the podcast, YouTube videos. There's a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline. I still have to figure out my giveaway that I'm gonna do just because I'm still developing the newsletter. But make sure that you're on that. That's for sure. You're already following me everywhere from Monoxide. If you ever can't listen to a full episode, I always have the highlights. So those are pretty sweet. But other than that, I don't know. I really don't want to turn into the affiliate guy, but it's like if you want Jocko, you can go use code Monoxide, save 10%. But
Yeah, we love it. I think.
yeah, what'd you think actually, Mo?
It's pretty good. Like I can taste the sweetener, but it's not bad. I like it.
It's not absurd. Yeah, sour apple sniper. That's my
Yeah.
favorite one personally. But yeah, he's just lying for the camera. No, I'm kidding. We paid him.
It's been empty this whole time.
Yeah, I haven't even taken a sip.
It's for decorating. You put Red Bull in there instead.
Yeah.
All right, if you want to follow me, you got to go on Instagram. Follow me at 1MNMopar. If you listen to the episode and you like it, make sure to tag us and let us know you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Please make sure you're sharing it because, especially if you make it this far, you obviously like it, or Mo, or Sean, or myself, or in general, whatever. Just make sure you share it. That's how you help grow the show. So much, much, much appreciated. And other than that, guys, next time.
Thank you guys for having me on. Appreciate it.
Never again. Have a good one.